Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1174A, and today's date is January 10th, 2017, and the title of the episode is Data Continues to Roll In, and the Economy Deteriorates at a Faster Pace. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we've been seeing this market just bounce up and down, trying to get to 20,000 points. And what we're looking at right now is a gigantic show. They're making it look really good. It's going to hit 20,000 points. Obama is going to pat himself on the back that he has 4.7 unemployment, 20,000 with the stock market. And he's going to say that everything is fantastic. The corporate media is going to play this up. Look how great the economy is. He's going to be handing this off. But what we're really seeing right now is job indicators, economic indicators, retail indicators, housing indicators that are painting a completely different story. Now, Janet Yellen's favorite labor market indicator, the number of job openings, was little changed at 5.5 million, below the 5.55 million expectation, but above a downward revised 5.451 million from 5.534 million. And what this tells us is that the pace of hiring appears to have tapered off after hitting high cycles in February of 2016. And when we look at this, we can see that, well, the job openings, the job hires, well, they are starting to decline. Net hiring also appears to have plateaued. Now, we've seen this before where openings and hires, they started to decline at the same time. This was back at the end of 2006 going into 2007. And here we are once again where we're seeing the same exact pattern. And they're starting to head in the same exact direction, and that is downward, which tells us that we are headed towards another recession collapse type of scenario. Now, we're looking at many different indicators. The Fed Labor Market Index is telling us that we are in a recession. We're looking at retail sales, which shows us that the holiday season was a complete bust. We're seeing that Walmart, they're cutting hundreds of jobs before the end of January. And we're seeing that the Limited is going to be laying off 4,000 people. I mean, think about what's happening now, and think about the number of stores that have closed. And let's go back a couple of years where we've seen the holiday season in the same way, where we come out of the holiday season, Black Friday, Cyber Monday wasn't that great, and we come into the new year and we see all these store closings and all these layoffs. I mean, we saw this in 2014. We saw it pick up in 2015. And here we are again in 2016, and you can't really argue anymore that the retail industry is doing well, because we're seeing many individuals being laid off, many stores closing, and the online sales, they're not out there saying online sales have completely surged to new heights and all these stores are going to online. Why wouldn't they do that? No, instead they're going completely bankrupt, out of business. Because you have to remember, all these stores, they have an online presence. People can purchase online from all of these stores. It's not just one place. But we're not seeing that. What we're really seeing is the destruction, the implosion of retail. Why? Why are we seeing this? Because when people lose their jobs, when people get part-time jobs and they don't make the money, they're not secure in their livelihoods, they don't spend money. This is the biggest problem the central banks have. Yes, they can create money by pushing a button. Yes, they can give the free money to the banks and tell them to prop up the stock market. Yes, they can have the plunge protection team keep the stock market up, never let it come down. Yes, they can create currency and give it to Japan, then have the ECB do it. They can buy up corporate bonds. They can buy up treasuries. The one problem they have is to convince people to spend their currency, especially when individuals are losing jobs and people don't feel confident in the economy. And this is the major problem, because when the gasoline prices came down, they really thought that people were going to take this extra money and go out and spend like crazy. It didn't happen. They're trying the universal basic income in Finland, where they're going to give everyone currency. And they're hoping that everyone's going to take this and go spend it in the economy. Well, for those people who have been living day to day, not making enough money, barely getting by, this extra money is so they can just survive. The extra money is not going to make them feel confident that, oh, wow, I have an extra $400. Let me go out and spend this on a new TV, on a new whatever. They're not going to do it. They're going to keep it because they understand and they realize they're not confident in their situation. They don't have a high-paying job, not like they used to. And this is something the central bank is trying to figure out, on how they can get people to spend in the economy. Because remember, spending in retail makes up, 60-70% of GDP. And it's just not there. The spending that we're seeing today that they're reporting on, that's in health insurance. That's because of Obamacare. That's because of premiums continually rising. It's an illusion. We see wholesale. Well, those sales, they have disappointed, and they're sending inventory ratios back into recession territory. Another indicator that's telling us that, again, we are in a recession. Now, November saw inventories rise more than expected, but sales, they didn't do too well, and they were revised lower. This sent the inventories to sales ratio back up again, which is now stuck in the recessionary area. And we've seen this back in 2008. We've seen this back in 2001. And here we are again in the same area. It's telling us that we are heading towards a recession. Now, the AIIB Chief says, listen, the door is still open for the U.S. to join. And we know that the United States is one of the only countries that actually didn't join in with the AIIB. Is the United States going to join right now? Most likely not. And what we're seeing at this point is the United States government central bankers, the central bank, they are going to fight as hard as they possibly can to keep this system, because they profit very well from it. They can control other countries with it, and they don't want to let any of this go. And we can see right now that things are rapidly deteriorating and falling apart across the world. And many people believe that, well, this can continue on forever and ever and ever. Well, everyone always thought the same thing back in 2006, 2007, going into 2008. Everyone thought the same thing right before the Great Depression. Remember, each period and each time we were coming off this incredible high where things were incredible, everything was pushed up, the illusion was set, and the central bank and everyone made you feel like this can go on forever. It will never end. But illusions always end, one way or another. Ponzi schemes always end one way or another. They start out feeling good, but eventually what happens is things rapidly deteriorate because they can't control everything. They can control a small aspect of what's going on, but they can't control everything. Like spending. Very difficult to control that. They're going to try, but it's difficult to control. And what that tells you is that when people stop, when people say, you know something, I don't feel confident, I don't have the funds, they stop buying real estate. They don't move into homes. When the youth unemployment rises and you're approaching 20, 30, 40%, well, guess what? The next generation, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to spend in retail. They're not going to purchase online. They're not going to purchase a home. They're not going to do any of this. And this is the part where the central banks are very nervous about because they can't control any of it. And what we're seeing right now is as more and more layoffs occur, more and more people can't make it, more and more stores close, it's getting more and more difficult to explain away why this is all happening. And why this is all happening is because we're approaching a complete and utter collapse of the system. And they're just keeping it propped up. And they're keeping it propped up for the right moment. They will bring it down when they are good and ready. And the question is, when will they be good and ready? Well, they need to get their story straight. They need to have a villain to blame this all on. They need to make up a narrative of why it's happening after the economy has been doing so well. And it looks like we're getting close to that point. They're building the narrative. They're building who they're going to blame. They're building the economy up to make it larger than life. They need to do this. Because once they bring it down, they will point the finger. They will have a villain. And all the blame will be shifted in that direction. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.